I've been wanting to make a tier list video for some time now, so why not one that'll take the longest amount of time possible to do. With over 80 worlds throughout all the games in the series, that's a lot to cover, so I'll be handling this in chronological order from the first game onward. Beginning with Kingdom Hearts 1, we have Destiny Islands, and it's an easy A tier right off the bat. I'm actually angry that we haven't been able to go back there since the first game, outside of the memory worlds and like Chain of Memories and Encoded and stuff. It's got such a great atmosphere, and I really think it should have been more involved in Xehanort's defeat, because that is also his homeworld. Next is Traverse Town, and already an S tier world. This place just feels so warm and welcoming, and I think it's pretty much a perfect hub world as far as this series is concerned. It's at least my favorite in the franchise. We got the Final Fantasy gang, we have the little hidden areas to explore, we got the great music. I can't think of anything that this world does that doesn't really work. People hate on Wonderland, and I can understand why, but I do appreciate the amount of intricacy devoted to the world's layout, with the bizarre rooms, strange orchestration, and everything. You don't really know where you're going, which adds to the mystery of the place. So I'm gonna give it a B tier. It shows how creative they could be with the Disney World when they want to be, or are allowed to be. Olympus is also a B tier. It's just a fun world that gives you more and more challenges throughout the game whenever you decide to go back with all the Colosseums. Tournaments are a great side activity. It's just not that big of a world in general, but it's big in content is the point, and that's kind of all that matters here. Deep Jungle is kind of a nuisance since it's so easy to get lost there, and even though it's never really annoyed me personally to that extent, it still isn't a place I really look forward to going to, so I'm just gonna give it a solid C tier. I've never been a big fan of minigames in Kingdom Hearts, so I don't really love going to the 100 Acre Woods in general, but I think the minigames in KH1 are particularly tedious. It's a charming place for sure, and who doesn't love Winnie the Pooh? But as far as the first game's version goes, it's another easy just C tier for me. Agrabah is a B tier. It hasn't overstayed its welcome yet in the first game, and I do like the overall layout of the place in the first game, since there's a lot more focusing on the platforming, and the Cave of Wonders was pretty nice. Nothing too obnoxious, just a standard world. Meanwhile, Monstro is our first solid D tier. I just don't like going there. It's so easy to get lost, and whenever I go there, I immediately want to just back out and leave the world. And why do your insides look like that, dude? Go to a fucking doctor. Atlantica in the first game isn't that bad to me. People have issues with the underwater controls, and yeah, they aren't the best, but I had a fine enough time using them. The worst part of the world to me was just the fights with Ursula, especially the big ones, since they're both just really annoying boss fights. But apart from that, the world itself is a solid C world. Haha, yeah. Halloween Town, here we go, baby. Now we're into the good stuff. Call me a sucker for Halloween and spooky shit, but I fucking just love this world. It's an easy A tier, and I want to see this place come back with the new graphics. This shit will look beautiful. Next is Neverland, and as far as the KH1 version goes, it's just a C tier. I mean, it's not even really Neverland. It's Hook's boat and then Big Ben. It's not that fun. I pretty much consider Hollow Bastion to be the final actual dungeon in KH1, and boy howdy is it one hell of a final dungeon. I think this place is KH's level design at its peak, outside of, you know, a few hiccups like putting flying type enemies on small ledges that are easy as shit to fall off of. But the atmosphere in this place, the little puzzles you have to do to solve, the story progression, the tension, the just overall design of it all, it's all excellent. It's definitely an S tier world, and I wish later games took more inspiration from this place when designing their final dungeons, because they knew what they were doing here. End of the World is also cool, mainly because of the fantastic atmosphere it also exudes, and the fights with Ansem and everything are just really memorable moments within the franchise. There's not much to do here, but I think giving it a B tier is still a fair move. Now, I'm not gonna cover all the worlds in the side games like Chain of Memories, because most of them are just boring as shit memory rooms or just retreads of previous games' worlds. So as far as Chain of Memories goes, I'm gonna put Castle Oblivion itself as a whole in the C tier, and you can just take that as my ranking for every world in that game. The game itself is a very C tier experience, and even though I enjoy the card combat after getting some good combos, it's definitely just a game that you would have to force me to play in order to see me play it again. So C tier for everything there. C for Castle Oblivion. Now, beginning of KH2, we get another fantastic hub world with Twilight Town. it's another A tier, and even though I don't like it as much as Trevor's Town, it's still a great place. Roxas's prologue has some fantastic writing, and maybe it's just nostalgia, but really you just feel at peace when you visit this place. It's great. Next we get Hollow Bastion, hitting it out of the park with another S tier. I was gonna give it an A tier since the design is a lot more linear and uninspired at times in some areas, but then I factored in the final mix stuff, like the Cavern of Remembrance and all that jazz, and I realized it doesn't deserve anything less than an S tier, alongside Pooh's book, the Cloud Sephiroth stuff, access to Tron's world. The place just keeps giving you reason after reason to go back there. As for the first Disney World in KH2, Land of Dragons is only a C tier to me. There's just way too many big empty areas that don't serve any purpose beyond connecting to the next big open area, and I just don't enjoy going there. Now, Beast's Castle, on the other hand, is an A tier for me. It's one of the few Disney Worlds in KH2 that actually progresses the plot with the Beast and Zaldan stuff. I love his castle, and I loved it again in Days. I wish we could explore more of the world outside of his castle like we get to do in Union Cross, if you consider sliding across backdrops as exploring. But even as just the castle, it's a super cool environment. I like it. Olympus comes back and keeps its position in the B tier, baby. It keeps the fun of the Colosseum, but also adds actual exploration with the underworld stuff to keep things exciting and moving. It's not one of my favorite worlds in KH2, even though it does improve upon the KH1 version pretty well. It doesn't rank up to an A tier, though, unfortunately. Maybe one day, though. I'm going to be considering Disney Castle and Timeless River as one single world here, since there's not much to do in Disney Castle itself, and 90% of its segment is just the Timeless River stuff. And it's another C tier for me. It always felt kind of boring, even though the retro black and white stuff was a neat concept, but I'm not a fan of it personally. It doesn't really do anything bad, though, so there's that. Winnie the Pooh comes back again, and I think KH2 is where this world shines. It's better than the first game, and honestly, I just love Pooh Bear. How can you hate that guy? He's such a great little bear dude, When I get nostalgic and think back to Winnie the Pooh from my childhood, of course, there's watching the show as a kid for sure, but then for some reason there's also me leading Tigger through that stupid cave as Sora in KH2, and then sitting with Pooh on that log and talking to him. I don't know why I'm nostalgic about it when I was in high school playing this game, but I think they did a great job doing the Pooh Bear stuff in KH2. Definitely a B tier Kingdom Hearts world. Atlantic is a D tier. Now, Port Royal has that Uncanny Valley vibe when you see things like Pete next to Captain Barbossa, but, I fuck with it. Could it have been better? Sure. Are the zombie pirates annoying as fuck to deal with? Definitely. And is Jack Sparrow's voice actor totally not suited for his role? You bet he isn't. But also, Pirates of the Caribbean is a 10 out of 10 movie, so the world's going into the B tier. Agrabah's also B tier. They definitely improved upon the Cave of Wonders, but overall this world was just kind of filler. I mean, a lot of worlds in KH2 are filler, but this one especially so. It's not bad though, but Pride Lands, oh boy. The Lion King's a good movie, yeah, but is this world a good world? No, it's a D tier for me. I hate going there, and I hate having to control Sora as a lion. Also, the recreation of Mufasa's death is just hilarious to me. It's just... ugh. Halloween Town comes back, and I'm giving this bad boy another A tier. Like I said, I'm already a sucker for the Halloween stuff, and now we get the Christmas stuff too. Oh, baby. That said, I actually do wish there was more areas in both the Halloween and Christmas sides of this world. What we got wasn't bad, but it's kind of just like... there's not much there. Space Paranoids is a weird one since it is helpful to the plot, and I do like the Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase kind of plot lines, but I can't really get into the Tron stuff. In KH2 and in Dream Drop Distance, it's just a C world for me. And finishing off Kingdom Hearts 2, we have The World That Never Was. It also has a nice atmosphere, and overall, it's a well-designed place in terms of the aesthetics. It's just really fucking linear. Why did Xemnas build a castle that has one direct route all the way from the front door right to his own personal tower? Did he want to get his ass beat, or what? Anyway, I'm not as into it as I was about Hollow Bastion and KH1, so it's just a B tier for me. It's really just a boss rush world with some cutscenes thrown in between to fill the gaps. Like with Chain of Memories, I am not going to cover 358 over 2. They're all going to go into the D tier, since I can't stand playing Days in general. However, the one exception is Neverland, which I'm going to put into the B tier, since it's the only world that actually creates new areas, and is actually set in Neverland for the first time. I mean, it's just a chain of unnamed islands for the most part, and it is in the main Neverland, sure, but... I'll take what I can get. Land of Departure is where you start Birth by Sleep, but there's not much to do there, so it's gonna go into the D tier. Dwarf Woodlands and Enchanted Dominion are both gonna go into the C tier because they're both pretty fucking boring, and outside of some plot progression stuff and nice music, I can't think of any real reason I'd like to go there. Castle of Dreams is the only good world of the 3 beginner Disney princess worlds in Birth by Sleep, and even then it's only gonna be given a B tier. We get some good boss fights, and I love Ventus' side of the world. It's super fun and not just a retread of the same areas that Terra and Aqua go to. And you get to see Cinderella's family being blown up by a giant pumpkin. So what else? What else could you ask for? Radiant Garden is a step down from the previous games, coming in as an A tier, which isn't that bad at all. It's definitely the best world in Birth by Sleep. I'd say with some great areas that do reflect how beautiful the world's supposed to be. But seeing the organization members there as humans was nice, though I'll never understand why they wanted to put Lee and Isa there as well, since there's already so much going on. And I always feel robbed that they removed 14-year-old Leon because there were already too many characters. Fucking no more, dude, I swear. We love Final Fantasy. Stop taking away our Final Fantasy. Mirage Arena's fun. It's only a C tier world though, since I don't actually go there that often. And, you know, they took away the online functions in the HD sets, so that's a thing. Disney Town is a solid D tier world. I hate minigames, and I especially hate obligatory minigames. I will not play Ice Cream Beat. Get me the fuck out of here. I'm gonna beat Ventus' ass for getting those free tickets. They're free because going there ends up costing you your soul. Olympus is also a D tier. Like, it's only 2 rooms, which are empty, and there's no Coliseum. What the fuck's the point then, man? Yeah, Zack's cool, but that's it. Also, everyone needs to stop sexually harassing Aqua. It's not funny. Deep Space is like, yeah, we can make a Lilo and Stitch world, and then Nomura was like, who the hell is Lilo? And then throws a spaceship at Terra. It's a C tier. Although Ventus' friendship with Stitch is the best thing ever, and I was very sad that they didn't get to reunite in KH3. Neverland is alongside Radiant Garden as one of the only good worlds in this game, and yes, it's only because after 8 years, we finally arrived at the real Neverland. Not Hook's ship, not Big Ben, not a random chain of islands, but the actual Neverland. It's an A tier, baby. I love this place. I'm only putting Mysterious Tower here because Birth by Sleep does consider it as a world, even though it's super pointless, and is going into the D tier. Yensted's just the worst, and his tower sucks. Also, the Keyblade Graveyard sucks. How do 3 people land in the exact same place, one after another, go through the exact same 2 rooms, and then all walk in from completely different sides of a mile-wide battlefield? How does that make sense? You all came from the same direction. Also, this place is only 3 rooms, and then a bunch of bosses and cutscenes. Granted, those bosses and cutscenes are pretty cool, but the world itself is pretty garbage, so it's another D tier. Dark World is pretty cool though. I'm counting this as both the final mix segment in Birth by Sleep and the entirety of 0.2, since it's all just Aqua stuff, and in both cases, it's a solid B tier experience. I fuck with the Dark World, even though it's confusing to call it the Realm of Darkness in every scene, and then call it Dark World as its world logo. Like, I don't get why that was a thing. But, you know, the place itself is cool, with a bunch of neat locations and fun stuff to do, and I actually would have liked to see more of it. Too bad in KH3 is just a single boss arena. I'm not covering Recoded because it's garbage, but I do want to single out Olympus because it's a D tier world, because it's super garbage, and the switching to the turn-based combat system is super annoying, even though it is a neat homage to Final Fantasy. Everything else in Recoded is a C tier though. Dream Drop Distance starts off with a very easy A tier Traverse Town. Already this place was one of my favorites, but now you're adding in new areas and the cast from The World Ends With You. Fuck yeah! It's only lower than KH1 Traverse Town because I do wish you could actually go into buildings and interact with the place in literally any capacity. But I think the style outweighs the substance here. I can't pronounce Quasimodo's world, but it's going into the C tier. I think it works well as one of the beginning levels of the game, and it has some neat areas like the graveyard and the caravan area, but most of it's pretty boring. The grid is also boring. Like I said, I don't really care about Tron stuff like with the Space Paranoids. I'm giving it a C tier. Prankster's Paradise is an A tier though. I love the carnival setting, and the underwater section was cool, and even though I don't like Monstro still, I do like how Sora's and Riku's sides of the world were 2 different things. I had a fun time there. Now, Country of the Musketeers somehow ended up being one of my favorite worlds in the series, so it's getting an S tier for me. I don't know why. I just love the Opera House. I love Mont Saint Michel. I love the little side story to rescue Minnie Mouse from the tower. I love the Beagle Boys. They're fun. I love the actual beat, the courtyard, the music, the fight on the stage, the props room, everything. It's just a fucking great world. I love it. Symphony of Sorcery is an A tier. It isn't one of my favorites, but it is one of the best in Dream Drop Distance and perhaps one of the most creatively designed worlds in the series. It has a lot of great areas, and making the characters quiet besides their musical swinging keyblades so you could hear the music in the background was a nice touch, but I do think it kind of overstays its welcome and the music kind of gets annoying after a while. It is a beautiful place though, like how Xehanort says.
Beautiful world, isn't it?
The World That Never Was comes back and it maintains its B tier status. I do think it does a lot of things better than in KH2, like having it not be so linear anymore and requiring actual puzzles and interacting with objects to open up more of the environment, but a lot of it does feel like padding. Having both Sora and Riku exploring different sides of the place, though, was as appreciated here as it was in Prankster's Paradise. I don't think this version of the world is anywhere near as iconic as Kingdom Hearts 2's version, but I do think it's just designed better overall. But they're both B tiers just because I think they're both equally good in different ways. We are finally at Kingdom Hearts 3, and starting off, Olympus is just a C tier for me. Removing the Colosseum was just a stupid move, honestly. Even if we did get to explore the mountain and the Realm of Gods or whatever, it's just not an even trade-off because it removes the main reason why you like going to Olympus, the Colosseum. And there's no reason to revisit it afterwards. It's kind of a one-and-done deal here. Also, I just don't think it works as a prologue level for the game in general. Twilight Town sadly gets demoted all the way down to a D tier. Like, man, did they butcher the fuck out of this place. They removed 80% of the world from Kingdom Hearts 2 and then made it up to us by giving us classic Kingdom minigames from Union Cross, as if anyone liked those. The only real thing it has going for it now is the cooking thing with Little Chef, but that can be accessed from every other world anyway, so it's just kind of like pointless. Toy Box is an easy B tier though. I think it's one of the best worlds in the game, and the only reason it isn't getting an A tier is because of all the mech fights it throws at you. It was fun the first time around, but I just want to fight normally after that, and the mechs get super annoying pretty quickly after your initial playthrough. Corona is also a B tier world. Outside of having maybe too many superfluous rooms that all kind of blend together, it was a fun place to go, and seeing Marluxia again is pretty nice. Then we get Arendelle. It's actually not a D tier, it's a C tier for me, because I do like Snow World, Ice World places, and it is the best place to go to level grind, in my opinion. So it does have its value there. Everything else about this world is pretty horrendous though. Disney was far too restrictive with this place and its characters, and it got way too cringy to sit through some stuff. 100 Acre Wood is a D tier though. I thought they were butchering Twilight Town badly, and then I saw this place, and I was like, oh wow, oh wow. Like I said, I don't like minigames in general, but I do like Pooh Bear, and they already removed the page collecting because KH3 as a whole kind of de-incentivizes ever going back to previous worlds for any reason whatsoever. And then they made this another one-and-done kind of deal where you go there, play the same minigame 3 times, just some weird, stupid Candy Crush thing, and then you just leave forever. It's just super lazy, and, Pooh Bear doesn't deserve this. Also, where the fuck is Eeyore? Who's this British elephant dude? It's so annoying. Where's Eeyore? Monstropolis is a C tier. It's definitely authentic to the movie, I'd say, but it's annoying to navigate and otherwise is super linear as well. I didn't have much fun going through it. But boy howdy, does KH3 make up for it with the Caribbean. While the main story mode stuff is really convoluted because mixing the plots of Kingdom Hearts with At World's End was just never going to work with any scale of logic, the world itself is beautiful and I love exploring the islands. If I'm ever caught playing KH3, you'll just see me sailing around the same ocean, going to the same islands over and over again. I have an entire save point devoted just for this world, okay? If they added in DLC that just gave us more islands, I would actually buy it. It is an S tier world for me and the best part of KH3. San Francisco is a C tier because it doesn't seem like it's finished. It's like a Dream Drop Distance world in that it's big and empty, that's just pretending to be a sandbox game. It's just like there. Its size is impressive and it's fun to fly around it, but there's not much to do in it. So we're already at the end of KH3, and instead of drawing things out, I'm just gonna be reviewing the Keyblade Graveyard, the Final World, and Scala ad Kylum all at the same time, because they're all basically batched together in the story anyway, and I'm gonna be giving them all the same rank regardless. They're all D tier. The Graveyard was already bad in Birth by Sleep, but then KH3 somehow made it even worse by just padding it out with filler. I mean, we go there to fight Organization 13, but then we were stuck doing random stuff in battles for an hour straight. And then the Final World shows up, pretty much destroying any pacing intention of the story by interrupting things for another hour to have us collect 300 Soras. The Final World is a nice place, and I think if they implemented it in a different way, I could definitely see myself liking it the same way that I like the end of the world in KH1, but it's just so obstructive to the narrative. And then Scala isn't even a world, it's just another battlefield like the Dark Realm for Riku. I get that it's partially explorable in Remind, but I never bought Remind, so I can't judge it off that. But even then, it appears to be another one and done kind of things where you go there once and then have to like redo the entire DLC to do it again. You can't just revisit it whenever. So that's still pretty awful. Anyway, the point is the entire final section of KH3 is a solid D tier to me, which is very disappointing as a Kingdom Hearts fan. Kind of sad to end this video on such a low note, but you got a solid top 5 for me with Traverse Town in the first game, Hollow Bastion in the first game, Radiant Garden in KH2, Country of the Musketeers, and the Caribbean in KH3. So thank you guys for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe. Maybe I'll do some more tier list videos. If you have any ideas for tier list videos, you know, as far as like Kingdom Hearts content, I guess, goes, or other stuff, maybe I'll do other stuff as well. Put suggestions, I guess, in the comment section. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.